of the cameras was to, and they were mounted vertically in the nose of the plane. I wonder, Sandy, or Greg, if you would, could you show that picture of the camera compartment?
Yeah, next one, I think it is. Right there.
Right here. Yeah. Okay, now that shows pretty well the arrangement. There were a lot of combinations, and the mission you flew depended upon the requirements that you were asked to perform that day. I think that's a 6-inch, a 12-inch, and a 24. Then there was another arrangement. I think that's on the next bill. Yeah, there's two 24s. You can see some of the lights are mounted in such a manner that they could focus sideways. The little camera in the front was for close-ups at low altitude. Our missions were the mapping run primarily, and was the one that was most often requested. But we also did pinpoints, which were individual, maybe 2 or 3 exposures of strategic targets like railroad tunnels or highway bridges or anything that was of small identity. And then we did have a third type of mission, which was low altitude. Now, the missions we flew, the mapping missions, were usually an optimum of 25,000 feet. That put us high enough to where the German gunners had to use radar to track us. It was also high enough to where most of their aircraft, except the 109 and the Focke-Wulf 190, couldn't reach us. We were under the vapor trail level, which you didn't want to ever pull because then they could track you visually. So it was optimum. The dicer missions, which came from the English word dicey, which meant hazardous, was a low altitude run, usually run at 1,500 feet, and used. Now this shows a left of light. We usually had a right of light aimed out of the gondola, as you see here, in a right direction, about 45 degrees depressed and about 45 degrees ahead of the plane, and we ran those at 1,500 feet. The cameras were controlled by what we called an intervalometer. It was a black box that sat between our legs, and we turned it on and off. The rest of the time, it was automatic. Is everybody? Can you hear me back there? Okay, great. It was automatic, and you dialed in the frequency of the exposures, and that it was all taken care of. And the time lapse between photos ranged all the way from 4 seconds, believe me, 4 seconds up to, well, whatever it took, 28 or 30 seconds. And again, that depended upon your altitude and the type of camera that you're using. On a dicer, which ran at 1,500 feet, the 4 seconds gave you just enough time to cock it up and crank it around, set it back down, and in time for the intervalometer to get a good photo. And that took some doing, especially when you were following a river like the Arnold. The missions that we flew were mapping missions and had the film. If I can explain this, the film was moved forward in the cameras and in such a manner that by the timing on the intervalometer and our altitude and speed would give about a 60% overlap. And that way you'd obtain the third dimension or stereoptic effect for the readers who used a little stereoscope mounted. There were two lenses mounted on a little frame, and they would put two pictures side by side with an overlap and scan that and get a third dimension, and it was awesome. Very, very effective. Let's see. What was it? Oh, what I did want to show you is the mapping run. I have a diagram here, two diagrams that I made of two of my missions. It's the only ones that I ever got back with we got a plat, a plat of our mission success after each mission, and it would show the amount of coverage that you got and any gaps that you had, and we always strove for 100%. But that meant you had to navigate, you had to run your own security and watch for fighters and flak, and manage to stay on track. They would give you a map that would cover a target area. The target area here, let's see, the target area of this particular map was the one outlined in yellow, and you always overflew enough so that you'd be sure that you got your coverage. I did get 100% on this mission. I got 100% on this mission, and I got my ass chewed for doing it. The reason being that Colonel Polifka, who was our group commander, felt that by flying straight and level, I was not watching close enough for flak or for fighters, and he sent Major Barfoot over from Siena one day to headquarters and told him to chew me out and tell me to keep my head up out of my rectum and pay more attention, or I would get shot down again. I argued it didn't do much good, but I tried to point out that with good checkpoints and without any problems, really, that you could do more scanning for fighters and flak by letting them just riding out on playing on a magnetic heading. This group was taken with that direction being north. There were 5 flight lines. The entire area was 40 miles wide by 130 miles long. This encompassed 5,200 square miles, and it was flown at 26,000 feet. What we would try to do is come in on, while we were still not being harassed, come in high, fly the mission, and when we left, to leave on the way going home. But I never could. This didn't work out the way. But anyhow, I was headed for home when I finished my last run. Now, what we would do is turn the cameras off, turn them back on again. Here, that was just the on-off button on the intervalometer. Do the same thing here, and so forth. In between time, while you depended to entirely on, since you're all by yourself, you're tired on your own watchfulness for enemy flak or for enemy aircraft. This mission was a little bit more. I got 100%, but it was only lucky because I kind of screwed up. The map area that they wanted, the target area, was 50 by 100 miles, and that was 5,000 square miles. There was a highway over here, and I started in on the highway, not realizing that I could have conserved them by starting a little bit later. But anyhow, there was 6 flight lines on this. I realized my mistake here. I cut off my cameras a little bit early, but when I got through, I became concerned that the wind had blown me off of my target, and I might not have picked up the flight lines and gotten left some holes and gaps in it. So I